Morgan, BlackRock, DTCC, Fidelity. The entire thing was just institutions. It's next level. This industry is going to the next level. And guys, I don't know what else to say. I'm bullish.
You said it. You finally said it.
I'm so bullish.
Andy's bullish. I'm bullish. We're bullish.
Industry is going to the next level, and guys, I don't know what else to say. I'm bullish.
You said it. You finally said it.
I'm so bullish.
Andy's bullish. I'm bullish. We're bullish. We're going to the top. We're on 4th floor today. We're going to be on floor 1, and then we're headed straight to the moon, boys.
Bang. Good morning, America. 9:51 a.m. Good morning, America.
Here reporting from the basement of Barron's, soon to be the nest of Neo Finance. The
nest of Neo Finance.
The dungeon of DeFi.
I got my roll-up shirt on today.
Whoa, where do you get that?
It's actually a really nice fabric. We got to make some more with this fabric.
Is that Comfort Colors? Shout out to the team.
Yeah, it is comfort. It is comfort fabric. It's pretty nice.
The roll-up don't mess around when it comes to the merch. You know, Andy, you missed it today while you were asleep. We were workshopping some new merch.
Oh, really? What did I miss?
Some Neo Finance merch.
Some Neo Finance merch.
I think it's a must.
I've just been pounding Coke Zeros this morning.
Now, Coke Zero, what is the zero? Is it zero caffeine or zero sugar?
Zero sugar, brother.
Good, lots
Zero
of caffeine?
sugar. Enough to get through the treacherous morning here in Hawaii.
I want to say this is the longest I've been without coffee, maybe since I was 16. I've
Wow,
gone.
you're uncaffeinated right now?
I'm totally uncaffeinated. Nothing
How's
but
it feel?
water. Nothing but water through my veins. Feels pretty even keel. Feel a lot more stable. My heart is not palpitating, so I think that's healthy.
Ah, it's
And
boring. You got to get back on the caffeine tomorrow. Get
no,
firing.
no, feel quite peaceful.
There's
Both
a direct
internally and
correlation
externally.
to the roll-up revenue to the amount of caffeine that you drink, by the way.
Roll-ups
Direct
do
correlation.
Roll-ups doing all right.
Direct correlation. GM Coca.
GM Coca.
All right, let's hop into the news. I think we have some Zcash drama that we got to cover. Basically, the entire development team left, and
Oh,
people
they
are
didn't
trolling them
leave.
hard. People
They
are
didn't
trolling them
leave.
hard. Zaki is getting under fire a lot, so he put
Zaki's
out a
under
post.
fire. Zaki might get booted.
Yeah, I mean, Zaki deleted all of his content. People are pissed off about it. Josh, the CEO of Zcash, put out a tweet saying,
He's not okay. Hold on. Before you start spreading misinformation, there's no CEO of Zcash. Zcash is
former CEO of Electric Coin Co.
there. You go. There's multiple. So Zcash is and you got to look at Zuko. Zuko, obviously founder, inventor of Zcash, put out this thing which basically like, look, there's multiple organizations that are working and contributing to Zcash, one of which is Electric Coin Capital. There's no CEO of Zcash.
No,
right?
no.
But yes, Josh Swihart, who was on the show, is the former CEO of Electric Coin Capital.
Electric Coin Company, yeah.
Electric Coin Company, which was one of the main labs corps around Zcash. And there was internal disputes, misalignment with internal team members. And now there's a divergence happening. And so it's really, and Zuko basically made the point like, look, this is making Zcash even more decentralized, where you already had multiple labs corporations. Now you have one of the main labs corporations, Electric Coin Company, splintering into two organizations. So you're going to have a new organization, and then you're going to continue to have Electric Coin Company, I believe, but it may be reconfigured as a nonprofit. That's TBD.
Yeah, so Josh just put out this tweet. We are all in on Zcash. We need to scale Zcash to billions of users. Startups can scale, but nonprofits can't. That's why we created a new startup, CashZ.org.
I like it.
So they're literally creating a new wallet.
Yeah.
Using the same Zashi code base. The code name is CashZ. If you're a Zashi user, all you need to do is join the waitlist below. And yeah, I don't know what, okay, so look, so Josh put out this tweet yesterday. Over the past few weeks, it's become clear that the majority of Bootstrap board members, a 501c3 nonprofit to create Zcash by governing the Electric Coin Company, specifically Zucky, Manny, and Christina Garman, Alan Fairless, and Michelle Lai, have moved
calling out names is wild, crazy work.
Clear misalignment with the mission of Zcash. Yesterday, the entire ECC team left after being constructively discharged by ZCAM. In short, the terms of our employment were changed in ways that made it impossible for us to perform our duties effectively and with integrity. We're founding a new company, but we're still the same team with the same mission, building unstoppable private money. Importantly, the Zcash protocol is unaffected. This decision is simply about protecting our team's work from malicious governance actions that have made it impossible to honor ECC's original mission. We'll have more soon.
And he has a link there to what constructive discharge means.
Yep.
And he says it's when, according to the definition, it's when a worker's resignation or retirement may not be found to be voluntary because the employer has created a hostile or intolerable work environment or has applied other forms of pressure or coercion which forced the employee to quit or resign.
Yeah.
Zcash obviously dumped about 20% on the news.
Yeah, which is crazy work as well.
I think that
Arthur started trolling as well.
Oh, did he? What was Arthur up to?
I mean, I don't know. This just doesn't look good. Like, no matter how you spin it, Balaji's like Zcash can scale, Zcash must scale, Zcash will scale. I don't know. It seems like Zaki is getting a lot of the heat right now. Zaki Manian looting and destroying the Cosmos ecosystem somehow manages to bungle the Zashi team. No matter what, Zaki will continue to fade into irrelevance.
Oh,
Jesus.
Zaki's been around a long time. He's done a lot of good work. I'm here to defend Zaki. Look, I don't know what was happening internally.
Yeah, Zuko said that that all these people are high integrity. Zaki, Alan, Christina.
There's obviously some sort of misalignment in terms of ethically and morally, like what they thought to be the mission behind Zcash. Sounds like it's almost equivalent to what happened at OpenAI, where you have a team internally that believes that the entity should be a for-profit organization, and that's the best way to scale this and ultimately provide the value. In OpenAI's case, obviously, it's to build AGI. In this case, it's to build Zcash. And then you have another group that believes it should be a non-for-profit.
Yeah.
I can see it both ways. What do you think?
And so Zaki puts out a post as well saying basically that that they are saddened by this outcome from the bootstrap perspective. The board engaged in discussions regarding external investment and alternative structures to privatize Zashi while working with legal counsel to ensure any path forward would comply with U.S. nonprofit law. There's nothing wrong with for-profits. But Bootstrap / ECC's nonprofit constraints are real, and navigating them responsibly can be complex, particularly in a changing environment. So, yeah, I mean...
Wait. That was Zaki's message? It sounds like he's also advocating for a startup.
They were like, the proposed deal in its last state introduces new vulnerabilities for politically motivated attacks on Zcash. Any of its donors could sue. So they're basically just trying to prevent the jeopardization of the entire Zcash ecosystem. And that some proposal going forward, they thought it was for the better of all, but that proposal ended up turning out to be effectively causing this division.
It's such a shame because it actually doesn't sound like they're too far off. It sounds like both of them want to turn this previously non-profit into a for-profit company so that it can properly, generate revenue, build and scale Zcash. So they are both heading in this direction of turning a non-profit into a for-profit, but they just couldn't agree on the right structure of the for-profit.
Yeah,
this all could have been avoided. You could have, these guys have their net worths in Zcash as far as, I'm aware. And so, you could have avoided a negative 20% decline in net worth by just sorting this out amicably internally.
Yeah, but who knows how long that's going to last. It's probably for the better that this happened this way than rather it blowing up in like 2 years. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you can still
needed to figure this out at some point.
Even if you're going to split off and form another entity, it doesn't have to have this like crash and burn ending.
It's the same vibe as Aave, bro. Same vibe as Aave. Like Aave chart, unfortunately, has just gotten smoked as a result of that drama. And I don't like markets hate that uncertainty. Yeah, and it's the same uncertainty that's happening with Zcash here, where people are like, "Well, what's going to happen is the future, yada yada."
It is uncertainty either way, but in Aave's case, it was a battle between token holders who felt like they had a right to the protocol versus entity stakeholders.
Yeah.
In this case, these are both entity stakeholders or internal team members to the entity. It's not like Zcash holders, you and I and Arthur and Balot, like. We're not standing up and revolting and saying, hey, we own some Zcash, therefore we own a piece of electric coin company and we want to turn it into a for-profit.
Yeah,
right?
No.
That's kind of what happened in Aave's situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, it kind of comes down to this. It's still funny how it comes back to this token equity thing. Mike Dudas put out this whole post about it. And we had Sam on yesterday talking about how 2026 was going to be the year of unification when it comes to these token models.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we're very much in a time where there's no perfect structure that works for everyone and every project. Actual success really comes down to having an exceptional long-term team that runs things like a real founder-led company, not like this Fugazi DAO decentralization stuff. Tokens can end up being the second best to equity for, different app layer products that need strong, decisive leadership, especially when we've seen so many DeFi founders step back, put DAOs in maintenance mode and just kind of buzz off. Pure equity also isn't better though. For example, Binance's BNB token, it adds real utility like fee discounts and airdrops that tie directly to the business and the chain. So the token does have a value. However, tokens don't have, strong legal rights. They don't have the same level of claim on value and shareholder value as equities. So you end up trusting these teams to heavily distribute value and profits properly. And so you've got this safe and SAF model, which 99% of protocols give investors free tokens on top of equity, as we know from our investing experience, pumping perceived valuations, typically screwing over retail. There's probably a way to fix this in the future. There's probably a way where investors can pick equity or tokens or a mix for better alignment. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like there's been a lot of bad execution, and that has been more of the problem. So I think if you focus on on-chain usage, cash flow, that is what's going to drive, token value. The strong teams are going to make it work, whether it's through buybacks, governance, utility, et cetera. The strong teams will unify and figure it out. And just today, Optimism puts out a proposal. The next chapter of Optimism, the Optimism Foundation, is putting forward a proposal to align the OP token with growing superchain demand by directing 50% of incoming superchain revenue to regular OP buybacks. And so, yeah, I just think that this is happening regardless. Sam was right. It is the year of unification, and we'll see how this problem gets solved.
Imagine the scenario where we have all this unification, 2026, token holders, entity holders, everyone sings Kumbaya, everyone comes together as one. 2 years from now, President AOC.
I know. Comes in.
And it comes in,
just destroys it all.
Puts in more oppressive regulatory regime, and everyone's forced to fragment again. Everyone goes to the payments, and we need labs, entities, and foundations, and everyone splits up again.
Dude, I literally had lunch with the head of research at Circle yesterday, and we were talking about this, and I told him about your take about like being bearish on decentralization. And then Nick from Celestia brings up that exact point. He's like, dude, wouldn't it be hilarious if we do all of this stuff like in this centralized kind of like focused orientation just to get a Democrat in the next election, and we have to unwind it all and go back to where we were? It's just hilarious.
Dude, crazy work out here, dude. Obviously, the more that we can codify into law, the less likely that happens, even with a Democrat in office, if they flip the House or the Senate or in the presidency. If it's in law, they have to do just as much work, like as much work the Republicans are doing now to get genius and clarity. They would have to do equal and opposite work in order to affect regulatory change to the contrary.
Yeah.
Right? So that makes it that much more difficult. We're going to fix the title here. And so, yeah, I mean, what's the consensus? Like, do we think that we're going to get is that the direction we're headed? Well, let's talk about this lunch.
I don't know. They didn't really have an answer with regards to where we're headed. I mean, it's impossible to know, but it does look like the Democrats are going to win the are going to win the midterms. I think it's 72% chance on call, you know? Yeah. They were pretty fired up about the idea of being bearish decentralization. So
yeah.
Anyways, guys, we've got Max von Wallenberg, the CEO of Iron, which is
powered by MoonPay,
tightly knit with MoonPay. Talking about the enterprise stablecoin stack, we've been pushing on the pretty big idea here of neo finance. I think Iron is a very good candidate of this category. Max being one of the leading players here, probably has a lot to say about what's happening in the stablecoin world and more. So without further ado, guys, we've got Max in the back ready to go. Let's get Max up and let's get this show started after the interesting Zcash drama that we had. Max, what's up, man? How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Hey, we're well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure. Congrats on the recent partnership between Iron and MoonPay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Like last year has been really insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about it. I mean, you guys at Iron, you're building basically a one-stop shop, like full service stablecoin stack. You got APIs, you got compliance, you got all of these things to help connect stablecoins with the real world. How did this deal with MoonPay come to fruition? Obviously, crypto M&A has been really, really hot. Did you approach them? Did they approach you? What made this a perfect fit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, interesting story. I mean, I know the MoonPay team for a long time already. Actually, I built a wallet before I built Iron. So it was a Solana wallet. We worked with MoonPay for a long time. I mean, they're the, as you guys know, the leading ramp provider for wallets and more in DeFi. So we knew each other for a long time, kind of being a consumer of the services. And then we kind of built Iron. So Ultimate, the wallet that was acquired by Jupiter. We then kind of moved towards the enterprise world, built stablecoin APIs, and never kind of stopped talking to the MoonPay team. Like we always were closely aligned. I mean, they have obviously phenomenal GTM and access to DeFi, and they've been kind of pushing hard on kind of this whole MoonPay enterprise, and obviously stablecoins are a really vital component of that. Started talking, and just very quickly we realized it makes a lot of sense. MoonPay has all the licenses that we needed, has like really deep connections with kind of a lot of players we already talked to in terms of stablecoins, and we just decided together we're stronger. And then pretty quickly the deal went ahead, and started building together.
It's pretty incredible. I think a lot of teams are realizing that now is the time when a lot of these deals are to be made. I'm just curious, maybe just zooming out a little bit before we get into the more nitty gritty around stablecoin stacks and Iron and MoonPay. Like, what would you recommend to a founder? Maybe they're looking at, their runway, they're looking at, how much cash they have in the bank, and they're thinking to themselves, I've been on this journey maybe a few years. Is now the right time to get acquired? And, they're weighing their options. Any words of advice to founders out there that are considering M&A options?
Yeah, I get these questions a lot. I mean, it's a really tough one, right? Because obviously there's a case for staying independent and gunning for that multi-billion exit, right? Like which obviously is the dream of most founders, and being small and nimble and being kind of master of your own fate is something that founders really like, right? That's the reason why people become founders, right? So first of all, you have to think about do I have a a really honest shot of winning and really making it, right? So we all know VC math works, power law, 1 in 10 works, or probably even less, right? So and look at your kind of chances of winning, right? And also what it really takes. And for us, it was basically, we looked at how long would it take us to build the whole license stack, right? And it's something we just couldn't really control ourselves. It takes a long time to get kind of MTLs and Mika licenses and everything into place. So that was for us something where we're speed is something that we really needed to win. And obviously other players the bridges, BVNKs are forging ahead, and so we had to be fast. So that was kind of one decision for us where speed mattered. For a lot of founders, it's can you raise enough money? Can you be fast enough? And also look at kind of your team, right? Would you kind of really bring your team along, right? And we did. The entire team went along, and we're staying strong as a unit. But if kind of your strength as a team, and you have a set of team members that maybe are not up for an acquisition like that, and that's gonna get tough, right? Because your core DNA will get lost, right? So there's no hard and fast easy answer to this, but I think the short one would be if you can win standalone, go for it. And if 1 + 1 = 3, do that, right? So, and obviously you have to be bullish on the one acquiring you, right? Because you're gonna be in bed for a long time, and obviously your fate is now the tied to the company that buys you.
Yeah, Max. Appreciate that. I think there's been, as Rob said, there's been so much M&A this year. It's kind of insane, and it's all kind of seemingly happened at this enterprise level. It's been less of there's been a couple acquisitions of crypto applications, let's say, but it's really this B2B infra, this enterprise infra, the likes of Bridge with Stripe, the likes of others in that kind of category, really seemingly pushing this forward. And so props to you guys for capitalizing. Congrats again. Let's get into
there's one more component here, right? If you talk to really big PSPs, enterprise customers,
yep,
you don't get fired for choosing Stripe. You don't get fired for choosing MoonPay, right? But if you're as a big enterprise picking a small vendor and something goes south, it's tough, right? So that's just another thing, right? You kind of really want to make sure you have a seat at the table, right? And
right.
That's very tough. You have to build a big brand as a startup to get that done.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Max, let's talk just kind of super high level, holistically here, and then we'll get into some of the nitty gritty. You've said that you think 2026 will be the year of custom issued stablecoins. This is a new term for us and our audience. Give us some of your 2026 stablecoin enterprise predictions. What is going to happen in 2026 for the stablecoin market? What are custom issued stablecoins? Talk to us about some of your predictions here.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, custom issued stablecoins is a really big one for us. Like we recently launched our issuance business together with M0. Really happy with that partner. Like issuance is a much more complex business than people think, right? It's not as easy as like, hey, I'm just gonna, do a fiat-backed stablecoin and go to market. Like, the M0 stack is really deep when it comes to like the on-chain part, right? Like smart contracts. These things they take a long time to develop to have a very bulletproof architecture. So that's why we partners and say like together we can do this really well. But I think like a lot of the traditional fintechs we're talking to, and we're talking to like the large Fortune 500 companies, they're exploring launching on stablecoins. And you heard the Walmart news, like and there's others in that category, right? That are really thinking about like how do we actually think about our money stack, right, of the future, and like owning your own your whole money backend, including the yield component, including everything. And issuance, issuing your own stablecoin allows you a lot of things, right? Like gives you more control. It becomes a brand, and it's something that gives you a lot of like architectural freedom to build a product without relying on like a Circle stack or a Tether stack. So that's why a lot of like companies are looking at this. And we think most fintechs today will look at launching their own stablecoins. You already see this now in the DeFi world. That's like the first one where everyone that has an app and has like a lot of TVL on their app, you saw the Hyperliquid tender, right? You're like, hey, why am I giving this money to Circle, right? Like, why am I not capitalizing on this, right? So it becomes an easy pitch where you already have users, you have TVL, might as well capitalize on it. And the issuance piece, there's quite a few vendors you can pick from now. So it's something that becomes a pretty important part of your go-to-market as a fintech and as a DeFi company.
And when you're integrating this into the MoonPay stablecoin stack, obviously you brought Iron infrastructure there. You also mentioned M0. We've had conversations with M0. MasterCard is a partner with MoonPay as well. Could you give us a sense of the flow of stablecoins through MoonPay? Also makes perfect sense why a lot of these companies that have a lot of cash on hand, they're looking to generate yield. They don't want to give it away. What is the value proposition of using enterprise stablecoins through MoonPay versus someone else, right?
Yeah, sure. Sorry, Andy, I can't hear.
Sorry. Some quick context. Yesterday we had Sam on, the CEO and co-founder of Frax, and he laid out a prediction, that is very aligned with Rob's questions, which is that the stable coins that are going to experience hockey stick type growth and this kind of structures are going to be fully end to end. And so I think that is like relevant context to understanding kind of how liquidity flows through Iron, through MoonPay.
Sure. So I mean, one of the reasons people pick MoonPay as a stablecoin issuance partner is obviously like GTM, like go to market, right? Like MoonPay is integrated everywhere, right? And we have a lot of surface area, and if you want to launch a stablecoin, you obviously want to get people to be able to buy it, right? Like and get exposure to it, right? So that's one thing, right? Like where if you kind of pick a stablecoin partner, like you want to pick one that understands kind of the fiat rails behind it, where Iron comes in. So we kind of do everything fiat related, like banking rails. We issue virtual accounts, which is like almost like a bank account like product, like a virtual IBAN in the user's name. You wire money there and gets instantly minted into a stablecoin, right? Can be a UCC, can be a custom issued stablecoin, and that's a very integrated product, right? Like, and then it can also be just accessible via kind of MoonPay widget, but an entire kind of surface area of how people interact with DeFi. And MoonPay is a really easy go-to-market partner for this, whereas because we solve two things, like one, the whole stack behind like the issuance, but also then how to actually bring it to market. And if you look at kind of our social following and like our general when we launch something, it becomes big very fast. And this is something I always give advice to founders: think kind of end customer, go to market, like scaling first. How do you get this product in the hands of people? And MoonPay is a good, really kind of excellent go-to-market partner for this. So that's where, like, in terms of like choosing who you want to do it with matters. It also depends, obviously, which jurisdiction you want to launch it in. Are you more DeFi native? Should it be open loop or closed loop, meaning can everyone buy it? Or is it just a hidden one that you don't even see? It's under the hood. And there's a lot of these choices that founders have to make.
And you mentioned a couple of the reasons as to why some of these brands might want to launch their stable coins. I think yield is first and foremost, but on the flip side, right, when you're bringing the stable coin to market, like you said, you want a lot of customers to end up buying the stable coin. It's not just, helpful to have the stable coin issued and in circulating supply, earning some yield on it, and pocketing, the net interest income. You want the consumer to end up using the stable coin in X, Y, and Z, right? Could you help fill in the blank there? Like, because a lot of the value of these stable coins ends up coming as far as what you can do with it after it's issued. What are you seeing as some of the key things that a lot of these brands are using these stable coins for?
Sure. I mean, I think down the line, I believe in a world of like hundreds, maybe even thousands of stable coins, but end customers won't really interface with them directly in the future, right? Like, that it will be a US dollar balance, and it can even be backed by multiple stable coins, right? But in the end, you can't expect an end customer to really understand, and force them into like swapping across venues and like, oh, which form of the dollar do I want to use? I think it's a bit of an interim state that we're at, where you still see what stable coins you interact with on some of these fintechs and platforms. In the future, it will just be completely abstracted away, right? Like, where, then sort of architecture that just makes it very straightforward. You can send any stable coin on any chain, and we actually have that cross-chain architecture built in, like cross-chain deposits. So you can literally send anything on any chain, and then we turn it into what's needed at the recipient. Can be their own stable coin, can be one a public one that they want. But I think end consumers won't really be interfacing that much anymore. Give it a year or two with like really end like the underlying issuers themselves. But for now, they do.
Yeah. And so in that regard, then, we had Exodus just come out and launch their USD stablecoin, right? So it's like a public company coming out.
With us.
Yes,
we
with
launched
Iron.
it. Yeah.
That's that is the motive of the question here, Max. What makes a public? Obviously, we have Circle, right? But Circle launched their stablecoin before USDC, before they were public. If I'm not mistaken, there are no other public stablecoins. Perhaps PayPal, but I'm not sure if PayPal is even public. Maybe they are. I've never invested in them. What makes a public company comfortable issuing their stablecoin now in 2025, 2026? Why do they need Iron? What kind of, like, what was that process like of helping Exodus launch their stablecoin and be an issuer?
I mean, I can't, obviously comment on like too many of the details, but I will go attack it from a bit of a different angle. I will say that like a lot of the enterprises and fintechs and Fortune 500 companies are very comfortable to not just like issue their own stablecoins, to work with other stablecoins, because like it just becomes a very wide, a fully regulated form of money, right? So first of all, like picking stablecoins as a rail is not something that's perceived as a brand risk or something to companies, right? They would, actually it's quite the opposite, right? Like it's something that, it's very forward, very tech forward, like something that, probably the public markets also appreciate if you feel, if you build at the forefront of like the modern money stack. And in the case of Exodus, it just makes sense for them, right? Like they are a very crypto native company. And if Exodus, like, they hold a large part of their treasury in Bitcoin, I think it's like an obscenely high amount, like 70% or something. So I find it always very, they're like properly orange pilled as a company, right? And really believe in this. So to their investors that kind of buy Exodus, like they would certainly welcome, a forward thing like launching our own stablecoin. But with regards to like why and how and now, like I can't really comment on that.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like this is a trend that's likely to keep accelerating, right? With regards to, all right, I'm a public company. I want to launch a stable coin. Exodus is such a edge case though, because as you said, they've been a wallet for like, I don't know, 12 years. And they are very, very like OG kind of like cyberpunk type of idea here. So, but you know,
Well, now they also bought a kind of a payment company. Was it Monovate or Banksa? Like one of the
yeah,
two.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they're obviously going heavily into payments, right?
It's pretty epic to see like crypto native companies come out and be able to just purchase large existing companies based off of the appreciation of their investments, or just like of their way of managing their capital. And so,
Ripple.
yeah, exactly.
Ripple is
Ripple's a
like
great example.
it's a roll-up company now, right? Like that just
Literally.
buys.
Yeah, Tether as well. So
Yeah.
you mentioned some of the treasury degeneracy from Exodus, let's say, or just very high level of convicted bets, strong conviction in Bitcoin. How does Iron work with companies to actually simplify cross-chain treasury management in general, without adding new operational risk? Talk to us about your work with companies with regards to treasury management.
Yeah, that's a very important topic. Like whenever we talk to kind of traditional companies like TradFi companies, they want stablecoins or stablecoin support for cross-border money movement, which is one of the biggest use cases, right? Like where you just use stablecoins to like as a transfer agent glue between real-time payment systems, like PIX in Brazil. Not quite in the US. Maybe RTP, FedNow is going to come or be more prevalent, but you want to have local payment rails connected via stablecoins, and that's something that TradFi companies are really happy to use, but they're not very happy to actually like integrate kind of any form of on-chain architecture. So what we solve for them is like, you go with your existing ways, you can still wire fiat, right? And the recipient receives fiat, and we solve the rest, right? We solve the stablecoin orchestration, and I think it'll come to a point where obviously wallets and holding stable coins and doing stuff with it as part of the treasury stack also will become a thing. It's not actually as a thing yet, right? Like today it's mainly get me from A to B as fast and as cheap as you can. And if stablecoin solves this, especially into emerging markets, yes, let's go, right? And we solve it for them. We do it via virtual accounts. So we spin up a virtual bank account, you kind of wire or send Zephyr Instant in there, and it immediately turns into stablecoin. And kind of the sender doesn't even have to do anything. Like doesn't have to change any of the treasury systems. So you really have to be backwards compatible to the max here. It's almost like kind of MoonPay ethos, right? Like connecting crypto to to your bank account, right? Like you wire and it turns out, comes out as a Bitcoin, right? So this is sort of the analogy. And over time, we'll offer the full treasury stack once it's not needed yet, but it will be the case then.
And so,
yeah, I'm just curious, quick question. How much of the stack would you say relies off chain and in legacy banks and managing this versus the actual payments from wallet to wallet and those APIs?
A large part, I would say like 80% is fiat architecture, right? I wrote a piece about this, the hidden, I think it was called the hidden architecture, hidden cost and complexity of stablecoins. And it talks all about that, like fiat, actually stablecoin infrastructure is mainly fiat infrastructure, right? Because still not many banks are happy with kind of crypto, with the crypto vertical in terms of like end customers, etc. So you need to completely build an abstracted away layer on top of like many banks to have like geo coverage, which works, right? And that's the hardest part, because we still have to be compatible with banks and AML and compliance rules, etc., to be able to get money on chain. And once it's on chain, things become easy, right? It's it's all public, permissionless, easy to access. Ledger comes up for free, right? And even like AML and compliance becomes a lot simpler as well, because you can do like chainalysis, KYT, like transaction checks. All of this is simpler, and I think that's why we're so bullish on kind of stable coins or digital money of just being the better form of money. But for now, it's still a large part resides on the fiat side.
Yeah. How much? Better way to ask this: how long would you say it takes for these companies to realize the for this transition to become profitable, if they're going from a fiat-based system and their money stack is entirely off-chain, and then they're going on-chain and they're realizing some of the value and efficiency and effectiveness of this new stablecoin money stack, how long would you say it takes for them to recoup that investment? Is it months, years? Thinking like at the scale of Walmart or Exodus, right? Like they're pouring money into resources to make this migration. How long would you say it takes until they make that investment back?
I mean, if you use a provider like us, like the kind of the upfront cost in terms of like connecting you to the stablecoin ecosystem is pretty low, right? Like you go in, you connect our APIs, and you can transact, the fastest has been like 2 weeks, right? Like literally start and go, right? So that is pretty straightforward. If you compare that to building a global, like non-digital money stack, it's very expensive, right? To have, the more real-time money gets, the less I have to park money in different jurisdictions and pre-fund channels, etc. So that is actually really kind of very cost effective. And I think if you pitch emerging market stablecoin transfers, like cross-border money transfers, you immediately know that it's just on the order of magnitude cheaper and faster, right? But what I will say though is like if you talk to like very large companies, like they kind of also nailed their traditional finance stack. Like they're pretty effective and they can move money at very low cost. But for them, it just becomes, stablecoins allow them to reach certain jurisdictions, which they have a hard time doing otherwise. And also they just know that this is a new money stack they have to support because a lot of the companies they work with even request it. But I think like the bigger opportunity is for like new fintechs. If I'm a new fintech and I launch, I don't want to have like in the past I had to launch like market by market, right? Like launch US and then Europe, and even within Europe, like launch respective countries. That completely shifted, right? Where now I can literally start a global neobank day one, right? And I have like support across 30 different currencies and everything is pretty much real time. And the cost is very low in comparison to the upfront investment, even a couple of years back, where I literally had to raise a seed round just to get my money stack solved.
Yeah, yeah. Max, do you think that on-chain FX is something that Iron is going to be focused on, or maybe better asked, like how much of an opportunity do you think there is in the on-chain FX market for currency exchange? And do you see this as something that is a priority for this industry? How do you kind of think about this market?
It's inevitable that it'll come in a sense that once companies are willing to hold money, right, and not just use stablecoins as a transfer agent between, just kind of on-ramp, off-ramp immediately if you do cross-border money transfer, there it doesn't actually matter what currency you hold. You want to have the most liquid, cheapest, most accepted form of digital currency, which is kind of UCC, USDT, right? But once you start to move your money stack to stablecoins and you actually hold, then it becomes important that you have local currency, right? So longer term or in medium term, I'm bullish that. Like short term, it's all about velocity and liquidity, right? So stablecoins solve a money movement problem, not a money holding problem in the short term. And for that, like you don't actually need, like localized versions of stablecoins because they're just more expensive. Even Euro stablecoins are much more expensive to kind of swap than if you just do USD versus other USD stablecoins. So it's simply a matter of liquidity and velocity.
We've heard a lot of mixed opinions on this global FX market. Some people are saying like right now there's a really strong value proposition because a lot of the FX requires you to go, from one third-party currency back through the dollar back to another third-party currency. There's no direct swap back and forth. It is very low liquidity, not just in the on-chain world, it's non-existent, but even in the fiat world, there is low liquidity for these third-party to third-party transfers. And so there's that value proposition, but there's not really a trigger because there's not a ton of, it would take a lot of work to unwind that current system. And so what do you think the trigger could be? Because ultimately the other side of this argument is that, yes, it is inevitable, but we don't really see a path to get there because localized regional stable coins don't have a strong value proposition right now. So how are you thinking about the evolution of the on-chain FX market over the coming, couple of years to 5-10 years?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think that the classic FX market it's super efficient, right? You can go, sub 1 bip, even a tenth of a basis point, right? Like if you look at some of these like big FX houses, they're trading trillions, like 3-5 trillion volume a year, right? That's a very different game than where we're in right now in stablecoins, right? But we'll get there, and probably pretty fast. But even if the traditional FX market doesn't have to solve a certain problem when it comes to, as you said before, solving a certain liquidity pair, I would argue that the on-chain world is not going to solve that, right? Like I think what the on-chain world will solve is just get cross-border money transfer, number one, right? Number two will be once you have like tokenized real-world assets, tokenized equities, etc., and people are much more happy to actually hold and use stablecoins as just a form of money, they will start to use localized form of stablecoins, and then liquidity will start to accrue, right? And it always starts with liquidity. Once liquidity is there and the demand of users, then markets will form, because markets are efficient, right? Like markets move where money is to be made, right? And that'll happen as soon as end customers or businesses request that. And I don't think you can force it. Like a lot of people are just forcing, we have to have this because I'm pretty sure it's needed. Well, if the end customers don't need it today, or if the market's not ready yet, it's going to take time.
And to that effect, where do you think the market's going, right? Like, is there things that, you think are going to subdue in the short term, and, you're focused on one particular area that you think is going to be quite large and kind of flying under the radar right now? If you were skating to where the puck is going, where is the direction of this industry?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be tokenized. Like any asset will be tokenized. First of all, I think Wall Street, like all the capital markets are moving on chain simply because it's a better system, and I think that's where the market's headed. Stablecoins are kind of leading the way here as a first asset for money transfer and as a reserve asset for crypto trading. But I'm really bullish on just crypto or blockchain as like the future capital market architecture, and I would put a lot of money on that actually becoming the default way that even New York Stock Exchange, Nasdaq will clear in the future. So that's one thing. And once you have that, once you believe in that future, it's very obvious that like stablecoins and money backing this as a trading pair will be equally large than like the current, just like the current money supply that's being used for capital markets, right? That's sort of where I think the market's going, and it's already we see the first innings with kind of tokenized stocks. Like all of this is like really tiny still, but and spreads are large, and we have to solve the tax treatment of those because a lot of people are buying obviously stocks for retirement and portfolios and ETFs. So you have to have like an equal tax treatment for people to do that. But all of this will be solved, and then it's just up and to the right.
Yeah. I mean, I think the tokenization trend is definitely in the early innings. You've got the largest players in the world, like Larry Fink, talking about that, and then also you've got U.S. policymakers talking about trillions of dollars of stablecoin supply. So there's like two external forces pushing this forward. I think one thing that people are trying to understand, Max, and super curious your perspective on this, is how you think about the kind of like value accrual stack of stablecoins and tokenization, right? So, obviously Iron is embedded deeply into MoonPay, which works with all the likes of tons of different on and off ramps, chains, applications, service providers, etc. And so there's kind of this thesis, right, that Tom Lee was parroting on CNBC earlier last year. Ethereum is the home of stablecoins. Ethereum is going to accrue all the value from stablecoins and tokenizations. Therefore, you should buy ETH. And then you've got some other players in the market like Santiago from Inversion and others who are like, well, guys, like, yes, sure, a lot of these base layer chains are going to be the home of stablecoins, the home of tokenization. But that doesn't really mean it does anything for the base layer asset itself, whether it be ETH, Sol, Avalanche, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How do you think about where like this value accrual stack comes with regards to stablecoins and tokenization? You know, do you see a clear thesis for some of these L1s or blockchains to really have a uptick in revenue or in certain kind of metrics that would accrue value back to that base layer asset? Do you see it more in the hands of issuers, of middleware providers? How do you kind of think about this like value equation when it comes to stablecoins and tokenizations with regards to base layers?
Very difficult question. I mean, if I would know the answer, I'd like, I'll, that will make my life very easy on the portfolio side. So, I mean, I'm a big believer in that kind of like the value pool will be heavily on the app side, right? Like there will be a lot of apps, and you saw this with Hyperliquid, right? Which kind of combined like the blockchain itself and an app on top, and it worked really well, right? It was kind of almost the first of its kind that did it or executed it really well. And you see a lot of, obviously now with AI and vibe coding, like people can start to like build these interfaces. So distribution will matter a lot, right? But I think the kind of all these new L1s, even like payment focused ones, it's a really tough space, right? Because like you have a big trust issue. Like if you look at like Ethereum and Solana, like I myself obviously a big Solana bull. I developed in that ecosystem for a long time. You have to beat them, by an order of magnitude to, not just be better, but be 10x better, right? Like, and I don't think today there are that many problems to solve on like the blockchain side. It's actually not a problem we face at all, right? Like I don't wake up at night think about, oh, if only I had this problem solved on the Solana or ETH side. Like, I worry about very different things, right? So I don't think that this whole emergence of like a splintered L1 ecosystem is the right path. In terms of where value accrues, I think the like stablecoins will be similar to the FX side, like a huge volume game, right? Like, low take rate, very high volumes. It's all about, as I said, velocity and liquidity. And that's also why you need obviously a heavy capital base, like deep licensing to be able to pull this off and, win this market. I think it's very difficult for like new upstarts to, enter the scene and kind of eat, like you have to like really specialize in something to have a shot at winning this. But my money and belief is that stablecoins are a kind of a movement velocity product, and like we want to make it as simple and easy and turnkey to use stablecoins in your money stack. And I think that's where a large part of the value accrual on this end happens. On the issuer side, it's a very difficult thing to forecast. I think still like some of the major issuers like Circle, Tether, etc. Will that they also have this trust premium, right? Where people are like, okay, I know them and I treat them as one for one, and they've survived crises, and they have a heavy capital base, so they're going to be tough to dethrone for the time foreseeable time. And I think we'll probably land in like a 3, 4, 5 issuer world, where still significant margin capture will happen. And yeah, so that's sort of where I see the future.
Yeah, interesting. So then I guess a follow up on the specialized part of the equation there, and I think we just got a couple minutes left here. This may come off weird. Are you excited about the stablecoin chains, the ARCs, Plasmas, Stables, Tempos, and even like Robinhood's chain, or like, do you think these are a flash in the pan? Do you think these have a reason to exist? Like I guess the question is, if Tron, Ethereum, Solana, and you could throw in like Aptos and a couple others already have such kind of Lindy and real uses for stablecoin payments and transfers, like why does one need these other chains? Well, obviously Circle wants to have its ARC, because Plasma is kind of Tether's chain, if you will. And so you've got these kind of like competition. And then, well, Stripe's got to, come in and say that we're going to do crypto too. So we're going to launch Tempo. And then you got kind of like the long tail after that. This was like a hot thing in Q4 last year and Q3. People were really excited about these. I think maybe the token price kind of didn't really live up to the expectations that people wanted. Where are you at with regards to stablecoin chains from the Iron and MoonPay perspective? Like how much focus would you be placing on these from your kind of like set of resources as far as these being something that will, pass the test of time and actually, end up being worthwhile?
The good thing is I don't have to be right about this because
Okay.
we're agnostic, right? Like I can, for us.
But
we
you
can
have to be
easily-
opinionated, right? Like you have to have a bet somewhere, right? I mean, come on.
I mean, for us, it's easy to connect to any of these chains, right? What I will say is that this is all about go-to-market for these players, and you have to have that very clearly nailed and have like strong connections. Obviously, Tempo has them, and like they have a big war chest, so you see that they get this right in terms of go-to-market, right? And there's a lot of buzz around that chain, specifically around like the partners that are signed. Well, it remains to be seen whether actual transaction activity will follow, right? And I know they launched this new tip standard, and a lot of these things are pretty novel and cool. And I'm looking forward to using it, but it remains to be seen whether they can actually, be, as I said, 10x better and solve problems that Solana and Ethereum can. Today, I can't really see it, but maybe I'm wrong here, and we'll see a lot of like activity there. And again, we also go where flow is, right? Like if we see our customers demand for us to be on these chains, we'll connect it and we're there. So, but we always built, MoonPay itself is completely agnostic when it comes to chains. We go where users are and where people want to connect to. And but yeah, it's going to be a tough game to actually get those to size. And we even see this with classic L1s where most of them are zombie chains, right? Like if you look beyond like kind of like ETH, Solana, Base, and a couple of others, and it gets very thin pretty much very quickly.
Max, last question from my end. You hinted at this, but with the expectation that there's going to be trillions of dollars in stable coins and we're going to grow this industry by multiples, but also with the caveat that a lot of these are sort of runaways when it comes to, the long tail of ghost chains and the select few of winners. Do you think that kind of the era of crypto experimentation is over? Like table's been set, now the winners are sort of declared, and these winners are poised for tremendous success as we expect trillions of dollars to pour into the space. They have the regulatory approvals, they have the integrations. Is this sort of the future that you're expecting to play out, or do you still think that there's a broad swath of crypto projects, companies, infrastructure applications that will still do well in 2026 and beyond?
I think the latter. I mean, I think like on the L1 side, I can't really see, I think that's in the past, and maybe there's going to be. I mean, pre-Hyperliquid, I would have also said like, hey, well, Sui tried it. I think Say tried it to become a trading chain, didn't work out, right? But at least not to the degree that Hyperliquid was successful, right? But so I think there might be like a couple of like special purpose chains. Canton Network is also pretty strong, right? Like we see, I think JP Morgan launching their JPM coin on them. So I think there's going to be a couple of those that will be winners. But it's going to be very hard for other L1s. When it comes to like in general crypto projects and kind of experiments, I mean, I don't even think we've seen, the first inning of it. There's like now, with kind of rise of AI, there's going to be all sorts of really crazy, projects, and the velocity of like new launches will ever increase. So if anything, it'll probably be even more, projects going to be launched, but distribution will matter, right? So, but in terms of like really core baseline infrastructure for like serious, traditional money movement, tokenization, etc., I think a large part of the tables have been allocated, and I think new ones really have to, absolutely master their connections and go to market for that to win.
Max von Wallenberg, the enterprise stablecoin stack guru, the wizard of CEO of Iron. Max? Are you German? Are you Dutch?
I am.
German.
I'm German. The Dutch is with a VAN, yeah. So it's VON for me. Yeah.
Got you. Are you heading to CFC by a chance next week?
I'm not.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Stay away from
every year, I'm seeing the migration of people, but like I resisted so far.
Good, man. Good. Stay away from the lizard folks over there at WEF.
That's right.
All right, Max. Thank you for joining us today, man.
Appreciate it, man. Congrats on the partnership with MoonPay. See you again soon.
See you around. Bye-bye.
Billions.
All right. Bye. Boom. Max von Wallenberg.
Can you tell us what you meant by lizard people?
Yeah, all the lizard people go to WEF, the Davos conference.
The Davos conference?
Yeah, all the freaking the like, you know, the people that dictate all of the policy in the world, and they think they're bigger and better than everyone else, and so they're just lizard people. They're lizard brains. Like, what's the meme? Like there's it's like it stems from like that, like the Rothschilds.
I think you mean the Clintons.
And the Clintons as well. So pretty sick convo though. I mean, our guy Max is firing.
Oh, Max is great. Yeah, I think, you know, it's tough to parse through like what the new info is when it comes to the stablecoin stack. But I think as you look at like where, and you asked this in terms of value accrual, I think also it's worth asking in terms of like where you can expect growth, which may not accrue value to a particular token or stock ticker, but as far as like, are the issuers are just set? Like, that's why it's interesting. At least that last question come to mind. It's like, are the new companies that come about, I'm sure there's ones that's funding and they're working on specialized problems, but it really feels, and we've talked about this, the table's set. Like these companies that are now leading these categories are the ones that are poised for trillions of dollars of growth. So I'd be hard pressed to find like an infrastructure provider that's going to go out, make a name for itself. I do think we're going to see a lot more irons out there that do get acquired.
Yeah.
But as far as like big household names,
yeah, I don't know. It's tough to see.
There's runaways in terms of these.
Y'all paying attention to Trove ICO? I think they reached their first target. Absolutely not. In this economy, you're paying attention to Trove ICO, buddy boy. I'm sorry, new type. The only thing that matters right now is Neo Finance, it's tokenization, stable coins, institutional adoption. Trove did reach out to us. Their product looks super cool. It is hyperliquid, ecosystem oriented. But in this economy, yeah, I don't know about that one, boys. All right, let's flip on to some of the news before our next guest from RE Protocol comes up talking about reinsurance. Mark, we got a couple more things to go through here. So Florida lawmakers, shout out to Florida.
Shout out Florida.
Strategic Bitcoin reserve plan. Check this out.
When was this? This was 9 hours ago.
So Florida CFO and state board would oversee a Bitcoin reserve with crypto payments for some taxes converted instantly to US dollars. We had to pull this one up. As you guys know, Robbie and I are Florida natives. This means that our tax dollars are non-state tax dollars somehow will be going to a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Looks pretty bullish. Take effect July 1st, 2026.
Bill to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, allowing the state to invest public funds in Bitcoin and SEC registered crypto ETFs.
Pretty bullish, man. I mean, taking it back from the days when it was like embarrassing to be involved in crypto, all the way to your damn, all the way to like now every friend and family member of yours that lives in the state of Florida is literally buying your bags passively by paying taxes. It's just crazy work, man. Crazy work.
So obviously there's no state income tax in Florida, but Florida does get federal funding for a variety of things.
For tourism. We don't have taxes, but we make all the money on tourism.
Yeah, and there's
how it works.
I mean, there's Everglades, there's national parks, there's Disney that pays a lot of taxes. So yeah, there's certainly
Miami
revenue streams that are municipalities and end up flowing back into the state. And
it looks like there's a 10% allocation of major state funds.
What do we think the state fund treasury is?
I don't know, but it just sounds like we're just stacking more and more passive bids into crypto. Like the global institutional TWAP that Vance and Michael were talking about a couple months back. It's kind of like happening, but like in all these unique ways that at some point it's just going to end up being like enough, you know? So yeah, pretty cool here. Let's move on from Florida. Shout out to the Florida lawmakers, though. Our home state, our business's jurisdiction.
It's I'm looking at total reserves. Total appropriated budget for fiscal year 25-26 is approximately 115.6 billion.
Nice.
10% of that, it's about 11.5 billion.
Nice.
And I mean, obviously, the speculation is you do this with Florida, you do this with all 50 states.
Shout out to Jacqueline Melanik. All announced today. JP Morgan's JPM coin to launch on Canton Network. That was controversial. Barclays invests in stablecoin settlement startup Ubix. Morgan Stanley filed with the SEC for an Ethereum trust, which I saw some FUD around them filing for Bitcoin and Solana first, saying that the Solana Foundation probably paid them to get on there first before Ethereum.
That's so silly. It was
Wyoming
a day earlier.
state-backed stablecoin FRNT is being issued on Solana. Are you paying attention? We are paying attention. This is Neo Finance, Jacqueline.
Yeah,
this is Neo Finance.
Coded, Jacqueline. We are paying attention. Andy, what is the biggest piece of news on this list?
I would say it is Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think a lot of just looking at the second point here, Barclays invests in stablecoin startup Ubix. Ubix, I believe, has been on the show. Shout out to Ubix.
Yeah.
As they've been on Money Moves Fast.
Yes.
And Money Moves Fast, indeed. Barclays, big bank.
Barclays is, Morgan Stanley's huge because they're a massive, massive firm, and this is their first kind of like entry into crypto, it seems. And so it's pretty bullish to understand that they want to come in this strong.
I believe we have more news around Morgan Stanley. Why don't we flip to our last piece of news? I think Leo's got it keyed up for us because Morgan Stanley's got more in the works.
Okay.
So filed the SEC for an Ethereum trust. So it's going to be an Ethereum
and Bitcoin and Solana.
And Bitcoin and Solana. And so they'll be rolling out these structured products to their end consumers. Here again, Morgan Stanley to launch digital wallet for tokenized assets.
Neo Finance coded.
Super Neo Finance. So
entirely.
Obviously, like the way in which we talk about Neo Finance, people might be a little bit confused. Let's shed some light on the category of Neo Finance.
Yeah.
Morgan Stanley is, you may say, a legacy financial product, a legacy financial broker, right? Of financial products. We believe, and obviously they believe as well, Morgan Stanley itself believes that legacy finance is a thing of the past.
Right.
Financial products are not going anywhere. We need structured products. We need not just Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana ETFs. Those ETFs and those products are launching alongside the rest of the Morgan Stanley product suite, which is a combination of money markets and ETFs and equities and cash and these things.
Yes.
But they're launching Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana products right alongside those. And they're putting together in a complete portfolio piece of infrastructure that will allow holding the assets in a native way.
Right.
And so I would imagine that this
non-custodial wallet, maybe. No,
custodial wallet.
It's probably going to be
centralized.
custodial.
But look, what's wrong with centralization when you get a forgot password button?
Yeah,
When I
hear you
can
on
call
that.
up my Morgan Stanley rep and I watch.
Well, what is wrong with
it.
that is our boy Gavin Newsom in California has just put out a rule that if there's a 3 years of inactivity on a crypto centralized exchange wallet, they can then seize the funds and hold it. The state of California can seize the funds. How about that? Centralization.
Don't live in California. My answer to that. There's multiple states with no income tax. So why would you live in a state that's going to seize your assets and make you pay 52% income tax on your assets? That doesn't make any sense.
All right, guys. Up next, we've got Karan Soroya, the co-founder of RE Protocol. Should be a fun conversation. So I don't know if you guys have seen this, but if you pull it up on reinsurance markets on chain, I think it's on Dune or RWXYZ. It's pretty insane to see the growth of reinsurance.
Now, Andy, what is reinsurance?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. But I know Emperor Osmo has been talking about it a lot.
Okay. So
I mean, if we use our pronouns and our prefixes here, reinsurance, it sounds like you're gonna insure something again and again and again and reinsure it.
all right, we're learning something today.
We're definitely gonna learn something today, that's for sure.
So
they've gone
let's
from $0 to $400 million of TVL, or sorry, total supply of their so their REUSD token is up to 100 million total supply. TVL has hit up to 400 million. Pretty insane growth here from RE protocol.
Yeah. So reinsurance, my understanding of reinsurance is that this is when insurance providers, so obviously we have health insurance, we have car insurance. You know, in America, we have to pay for these things out of pocket. We don't have government that subsidizes these things.
Right.
And so we pay for insurance. The insurer is taking on risk. They're basically betting on us not getting hurt so that they can save money and they can.
I hate insurance, by the way. Total terrible business. Anyway, please continue.
Reinsurance is when the insurance company itself goes and gets insurance. And so think about Florida, right? Great example. Hurricanes happen quite a bit in Florida. And there's a real problem in Florida where the housing market becomes unattainable for a lot of home buyers simply because it is almost impossible to get hurricane insurance in certain parts of the state. However, if you have insurance companies that are able to insure their own book, right? Because essentially they're doing this actuarial science. They're saying, hey, we'll give you a premium, you pay us, and we will insure you against a hurricane. They're then going to go and risk their book out to, they're going to go sell the insurance on their own book to multiple other reinsurance companies. So it's not a super eloquent explanation, but I believe.
So it's just a big Ponzi. No, I'm just joking around.
I don't know. We're going to get Karn to explain it to
I
us.
have no idea. I've never heard of
we
reinsurance
learned
until
here
Emperor
too.
Osmo put it on our feed about 2 weeks ago.
We're not
Stoked to have
insurance
Karn up.
experts, so we're going to learn something.
And it's happening on chain. And so we're excited to
course
talk
it's
about
happening
it.
on chain.
Let's get Karn up here. Next episode, Neo Finance, the rise of reinsurance markets on chain. Karn, how are you, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Honestly, Andy and I were just doing some research. We're not experts on this by any stretch of the imagination. Before we get into what exactly Re is doing and why you guys have brought reinsurance on chain, if you don't mind, a brief explainer, high level, what is reinsurance in general before we get into the nitty gritty?
Yeah. We're the insurance company for insurance companies at the highest level, right? And so Re itself is on-chain actors pledging capital that ends up backing the insurance policies that insurance companies around the world write. So insurance companies will go write home, auto, earthquake, floods, fires, hurricanes, small businesses. Those businesses will pay insurance premiums. Those premiums will percolate down to the ultimate collateral provider, and that's where the economics come from. That's reinsurance.
And
Gotcha.
so this is essentially a yield product. Anyone can pledge collateral. I'm maybe stretching this to the ultimate democratization of capital, but in theory, anyone could provide collateral. And then when it comes down to who is there that has to pay the bill, if there is a hurricane or there's a flood, it's going to get taken out of that collateral. But in the case where there is no catastrophic event, these premiums continue to accrue to the people that pledge the collateral, and that's how they collect the yield. Is that generally the right way to think about it?
In some sense, you're becoming the insurance company, right? And people are paying you premiums in an efficient market. Every dollar of premium pays the claims, it pays the related expenses, it pays you a margin. Reinsurance is really just kind of the safety cushion on top of that in adverse circumstances, right? If the insurance company didn't believe they were going to make money by selling you $1 insurance and charging you $1 premium, they wouldn't be in business for very long.
We've got upwards of $400 million of TVL, or just right around there now for RE protocol. REUSD is hitting about 100 million in outstanding supply, or TVL, or market cap, however, kind of like count it there. What talk to us about this rise, right? So take us back, June 2025. REUSD is basically just getting off the ground. Absolutely hockey stick growth. what has been the recipe for success here? And just kind of give us the story a bit of RE and maybe, tie in some of your background here.
And why bring
Yeah.
this on chain?
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with like what the product is, right? The product is a promise to pay under a certain set of circumstances, coupled with proof that we can pay under those circumstances. And having on-chain capital and those representations memorialized on chain is like the most elegant way to accomplish that particular task. And so insurance and reinsurance are like incredibly well suited actually for being on chain. Yeah, with respect to the RE protocol continuing to grow, look, man, we probably run the most scalable, durable business in crypto, and it's just starting to show, right? We're talking about $1 trillion in premium to be accessed in just the reinsurance market. We're talking about 7 to 8 trillion in premium to be accessed in the primary insurance market. All of it is basically the same product that I just specified. It ends up being a contract, a price, some stipulations, and the capital that you can use to back it. I didn't just stumble on this. Like RE is now in its third year of operations on the reinsurance side. We back 35 insurance companies across the United States today. So we've proven out that we can sell reinsurance to insurance companies, which is it's a non-trivial thing to do. It's hard. We've also proven that we can connect DeFi capital to those insurance companies and make regulators happy along the way. The combination of those things is an incredibly difficult thing to execute on. And it wouldn't be possible if we didn't have a team of exceptionally DeFi-oriented folks and folks who have built insurance companies in the past. And so prior to this, I built Cover. It's a national insurance company out of Y Combinator. And so I've got some experience now corralling regulators, getting to see our vision and counterparties in the insurance space to work with us.
Awesome. Karen, do you think that the scalability and durability of the business stems from just the clear Lindy effect of the total product market fit here? Like there's very clearly a need for insurance. It's a massive industry. Bringing this on chain just makes sense. Like there's just a very clear, long-standing business model here. What I'm trying to get at is what makes this so scalable and durable from your perspective?
Yeah, look, I think you have a variety of reinsurers that exist. They have product market fit, right? They sell collectively, they have hundreds of billions in capital that have been allocated to them. They deploy that capital to secure tens of millions of businesses, hundreds of millions of people around the world. There's clear product market fit. People buy these policies. Now, what we're saying is that infrastructure needs to be updated. What you can do now from first principles is you can build an incredibly high operating leverage reinsurance business using a modern technology stack and using this transformer into DeFi. You can bring tens of millions of people on chain by simply selling them policies, having those policies memorialized on chain and the capital that backs them memorialized on chain. And then, because there's such a dearth of opportunity, of actual real yield opportunity, we're talking about things that are not self-referential, but quite literally millions of people paying money into a pot from which you are paid your economics. The dearth of opportunity means that the cost of capital advantage relative to the rest of the market is going to start to become very obvious as we scale. So you combine the cost of capital advantage, you combine the OpEx advantage, and you build something that in retrospect will look very, very obvious, but looking forward is just hard to do because so few people can do it.
What are the network effects here as you guys scale? Because early on in DeFi, Andy and I were there. We were yield farming. We were depositing into these LPs, right? And a lot of times the idea was, the most amount of trading fees divided by the amount of liquidity in the pool. You wanted to get your liquidity in early. That was the point of maximum financial opportunity. As you scale the amount of capital that's being pledged into these reinsurance pools, will that dilute the yield that is accrued? Or what are the network effects? How will this thing scale?
Yeah, so look, it's a protocol for a reason, right? Like what we're trying to build is the internet capital markets for insurance. I own a reinsurer. That reinsurer goes out into the world and sells insurance to insurance companies. There are lots of other reinsurers. And so there's no reason why the protocol should not be able to enable other reinsurers and insurance companies to directly transact with this capital layer, right? And so if you're thinking about depth and scale, I am not the rate limiter, right? The rate limiter then becomes, hey, can we get XYZ insurance company on this platform? Can they bring tens of billions of premium to the platform of existing seasoned business? Can they deliver a rate of return that's acceptable to the depositor? And the answer is yes, right? Like these folks go to alternative capital markets all the time. They set up SPVs. The alternative capital market insurance is the fastest growing part of that capital stack, right? And so this would fit really neatly into exactly what's happening in the insurance market today.
Yeah. One of the things with insurance is like underwriting, right? You got to figure out which risks are worth underwriting, how you kind of
Yep.
calculate these risks, and then bringing this on chain, you kind of bring a different level of risk parameters to the table. Anything from smart
Yep.
contract risk to keys to custody, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, how does RE decide which risks are worth underwriting on chain, and what is your underwriting process from the protocol perspective?
Yeah, for sure. So look, I think every risk that is borne by RE is passed through actuaries and underwriters that have been in the business and delivered profitability in the past, right? And so, just from like a level setting perspective, the insurance company needs to make money. So their actuaries and underwriters got to believe their pricing is correct. We got to believe we're going to make money if we're going to participate in any sort of this risk transfer. And ultimately, we need to be able to protect the economics of depositors to the maximum extent possible. Because if you guys you clearly are plugged into DeFi, people don't know how to underwrite these types of exotic risks, and that's kind of the rate limiting thing, right? So the way that we solve for this is like our money is junior. Our entire balance sheet is in the junior position. It absorbs the insurance risk primarily. Depositors are senior to us, and that's both for our REUSDE product, which absorbs insurance risk, and the REUSD product, which has grown the most. It's most risk remote and over collateralized, right? So the way that we've gotten around this is like we'll eat our own cooking. We believe it. We've now been underwriting profitable for 3 years. We want to show that there is a vector of attack to bridge these two markets together. We're happy to do it. And if you want access to this market, we'll give you the most risk remote way we can make it conceivably possible, and we'll meet the liquidity needs that you've got, right? If you're plugged into the rest of DeFi. So it's required quite a bit of learning on my part to like get up to speed on DeFi. We've now surrounded ourselves with really smart people in DeFi, and I think they're going to kind of carry the flag in that realm. And at the same time, done a lot of like novel structuring on the reinsurance side to make all of this possible. But it's supposed to be risk remote, it's supposed to be liquid, it's supposed to give you a taste. As the market matures, people can decide whether they want to take more insurance risk or not.
It sounds like you cut your teeth in the traditional insurance world, and now you're delving into the DeFi world. Just curious, as you were diving in, you were learning more about this. What stuck out to you? Where were the light bulb moments? What were some things that you got stuck on? Just generally, how was that journey of going into DeFi? We're all learning about it now together. So
Yeah. Look,
what were those highlights?
yeah, but I mean, first and foremost, man, I'm a technologist, right? I build technology companies, and I spent 7 years building the plumbing of an insurance company, like everything from origination, underwriting, pricing, service, like literally software that like manages the policies, helps service them. And so the problem surface area is very, very large. And the amount of money, the margin that was left over for me as kind of originating entity was pretty small. And so I decided that for this time around, I wanted to make more money and do less work. That was my driving principle. And I kind of I looked at the counterparties in the intermediate. I literally had to buy reinsurance from reinsurers. And so I look at what they were doing, quite literally signing a contract and saying we're good for it. Right. There's our financial rating. We're good if shit hits the fan. And I was like, I can probably do that. By the way, there's this thing that's happening in DeFi that makes complete sense to me. We should find a way to bridge into it because we see protocols that are pulling to get together tens of billions of capital. And I, in my mind, have like the best possible economic purpose to use that capital. Right. And from there, it's been, again, this multifaceted figure out what to do with the regulators, figure out what to do with the capital side, convince the insurance companies to work with us. And now, we're doubling and doubling and doubling. We were another 150 million in business on Gen 1, right? It's going to be 340 million in business from inception. If we can get to it, we'll write $1 billion in premium by January 1st, 2027. Right? It's no longer a toy; it's a real thing, and we're backing hundreds of thousands of policies across the United States.
And where does that put you on the scale of insurance companies or reinsurance companies? Like, just for a parallel here, Aave has become, I think, what is it, the 30th largest bank? Might be even higher than that. $55 billion in deposits. And they are now measuring up. Obviously, Aave is an on-chain bank. They're a lending market. They're measuring up with the legacy financial system toe to toe. Where are you guys at relative on the loading bar, to 100% when it's all said and done and it's all tokenized, it's all on chain? What is the scale that you guys are shooting for?
Yeah, so the largest reinsurers in the world reinsure something like 80 to 90 billion a piece, right? And they're all in Germany. And that's not really including ancillary operations. Like these guys own insurance companies too, right?
Karn,
So if you think about,
can I pause you real quick? Why are they all in Germany?
there's a culture around insurance in Germany that lends really well to itself. Also, there's Lloyd's of London, right? A lot of this stuff started in Europe.
Got it. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
And yeah, by the way, the American analogs are Berkshire Hathaway, $1 trillion entity, right? Owns Gen Re, owns Geico. Geico and Gen Re create float. Berkshire's asset management arm invests that float. Apollo owns Athene. This is not uncommon in TradFi, and it's gargantuan, right? 400 million in business is no longer a toy. It's still small. I think we start to really get people on notice as soon as we're above $1 billion in business.
Is the goal for this protocol to remain insuring and reinsuring kind of like off-chain business models, off-chain products? Because there's rise of Nexus Mutual, Cover, a couple of these like other DeFi protocols in 2020, but it's never really worked out. Like the insurance market on chain for smart contract risk or other kind of risk never really worked out. Like, is there a roadmap to think about getting into insuring DeFi or just kind of like on-chain businesses? Not a thing that you really want to focus on. Where's your kind of general like vertical-based roadmap here when it comes to the insurance market?
Yeah, it's funny you asked. We were just talking to Hugh and his team this morning at Nexus. Look, I think these guys are directionally correct, right? I think that there's a burgeoning DeFi and crypto economy that's going to require insurance coverage for people to build things here and to scale them. There eventually is going to be a market clearing price that's acceptable to the risk taker and the offloader of risk. The reason we haven't seen that take off yet is because that equilibrium hasn't been met. That's basically it, right? So you got to be willing to pay for the cover, and you have to be willing to take the risk. And I think it's starting to happen around the edges, and eventually we'll find the core, and these guys will be proven out to be correct. From my perspective, I don't want to open up too many fronts in this particular battle, right? I have advantage. I'm going to take advantage of that advantage and lean into it as aggressively as I can, and compound, re and the business as aggressively as I can, because this thing gets better and better and better with scale, right? Like our cost of capital continues to come down. The opportunities to be able to reinsure, unique lines of business, new companies goes up with the safety and security of scale. So that's my number one priority. It'll continue to be off-chain, for the foreseeable future, as we know there's lots of money there, and so that's it. And then we'll let the DeFi guys do the DeFi thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's still so much room to grow. I'd imagine the on-chain thing becomes feasible once you have AI sort of pricing risk. It becomes a little bit more ubiquitous there. Maybe AI and prediction markets can get a sense of how risky a smart contract is. We can get some credit ratings or credit bureaus, even rating some smart contracts. Has there been any partners on your journey that, have you bootstrapped this from zero? You also mentioned you have your own internal capital that you guys are putting into stake. Like, what has been the founder journey, and generally, how have you guys gotten from zero? Talked a lot actually about how you guys are getting from 300 to $1 billion, by 2027, but how have you gotten from zero to the 340 million that you guys are at now?
Yeah. So look, I think I have the advantage of knowing a meaningful number of the insurance executives in America of consequence, right? Just like having built an insurance company from scratch, and that's been helpful. Um, we are whitelisted with all of the major reinsurance brokers in the country, and that's just a function of like we've got people around the table that have managed multi-billion-dollar books of insurance business profitably. We've got a structure that they understand. We're the only ones in market with scale and have built this capital transformer into DeFi, and they are really interested in it. Candidly, if you talk to any young person in insurance, there aren't that many. they're like they're super interested in what we're doing, and the folks that are retiring out of this business, which is most of them, kind of know that this is what's coming, right? And they want to be part of it, so they're excited to get behind it as well. But yeah, I mean, we have great capital partners, and we've raised money from Tribe and Arjun, who's now heading up Kraken, Electric and Avichal, the Coinbase team, which we actually haven't announced, so I guess you guys know now.
Ooh,
And then
big announcement.
yeah, and then who am I missing? Yeah, Electric, Tribe, Coinbase, DeFi, like a handful of other tier one angels and the like. So it's been good.
And
Yes.
you mentioned the process of when you're going out, like you've mentioned how like when you're buying insurance or buying reinsurance, you kind of have to check, you sign the paper contract and you're like, okay, yeah, there's their credit rating and okay, I guess they say they have the capital, right? When
Yeah.
you're on the flip side, now you're selling the reinsurance. So now you're going to insurance companies. They're looking at you. They're looking at, oh, like a lot of this capital, it's on chain. That's kind of weird. And, like, do you get those questions? Do you get those weird looks?
Yeah,
when you're approaching
absolutely,
some of these insurance
absolutely,
companies?
right? Yeah, the thing though is like there's a regime change in America, right? Like we have genius compliant stable coins. The market is starting to become apprised to that these are just these cash and cash equivalents, right? They're
Yep.
quite literally pointers to dollars that's sitting in bank accounts in US financial institutions. It's the law of the land. They know it's coming. We're literally their first trading partner to be able to like bridge the gap here. And it's not non-trivial the education that's been required to get people to where they are, but it's working, right? We're signing up more and more customers every day.
Yeah. I think people in our community are going to be curious about some of the points that are like the points program that's going on, and just generally like kind of how you're thinking about 2026 from the kind of roadmap perspective. So maybe just walk us through where we at with the points program, where are we going in 2026, what's on the roadmap here as we kind of come to a close.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't shared too much of this, publicly, but we've now staffed up to make sure that people are pretty happy with the outcome of our points program over the course of the next quarter or two, right? And it's now been running effectively since August. It's really finding its legs now. I think TVL formation is like you guys can see it starting to pick up in a pretty meaningful way. We're getting integrated into all the right places. We're talking to all the right funds and the right people. I think this is going to be a pretty good time.
Beautiful. Karn, thank you so much for joining us today, man. Really stoked about your growth. It's been cool to see from the sidelines. Been wanting to get you guys on the show. Glad we did. We'll have to circle back up in 3 to 6 months, see where you guys are at. It seems like this is going up only. One of the only up only charts right now in crypto. So it's
very cool too. We're talking a lot about this idea of neo finance, and I think you guys fit in perfectly because it's this idea that we're taking an industry that was previously super legacy, super on paper contracts, all these things, and now we're tokenizing it. We're putting it on chain, and it's exponentially more efficient and effective. You guys are pioneers. Kudos and congrats on all the great work.
Appreciate it, guys, and thanks again for having me.
Thank
you, man.
All right, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Yeah, man, that is a good neo finance player. Up only, huge. That's nice. More customers and trust. Wait, so what's the difference if I use prediction markets as my insurance? Can't I just open a prediction that a hurricane will make land as an insurance hedge?
Go for it. How much liquidity can you get in there? If I'm an insurance company, how much liquidity at what price can I get a hedge against hurricane happening?
I don't know.
You can't. I mean, dude, the
Yes,
answer
you can't.
the answer is not enough. Like if I'm an insurance company, you heard they're on the scale of 60 to 70 billion.
Right.
In these prediction markets, it's a couple million that is going. And these
At
weather
most
markets,
for a weather market,
in the weather market, it's maybe,
100K. Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thought experiment of using prediction markets as insurance hedges.
RE token is live?
No. Their points program is live.
Oh, so the points program is up only.
Everyone's saying up only about the actual metrics. This is absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Sophie. Sunex up only. Caps up only. Up only. Chaz. Ari's got quite the community.
Up only.
All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break. We got our third and final guest today, Dino, coming on to talk Fluent, Connect, and more. Just a couple of minutes. We'll be right back after a quick word for some of our awesome partners. See you in a second.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io.
Go anywhere on chain instantly with Relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to Relay.link to bridge your assets now.
Money shouldn't wait for Mondays. Following its real upgrade, Polygon is now one of the fastest chains for stablecoin transfers and payments. Visit Polygon Technology to learn more.
Kalshi is the world's largest prediction market. You can trade on anything in all 50 states. Go to kalshi.com to trade today.
Talk to AI like your lawyer or your doctor or your therapist. Yours, private, and here today. Visit near.ai to have a fully private chat experience.
Havachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to hibachi.xyz to start trading today.
Looking for yield that stands out? Infinify gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. Infinify is a battle-tested, reliable DeFi platform that is ready to go. Head to infinify.xyz.
Halliday is unified crypto payments. Give your users more wherever they are. Go to halliday.xyz to never write a smart contract again.
Open, stable, borderless. Frax is building the next generation of stablecoin infrastructure for the digital finance era. Visit frax.com to learn more today.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io.
Go anywhere on chain instantly with Relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to Relay.link to bridge your assets now.
Money shouldn't wait for Mondays. Following its real upgrade, Polygon is now one of the fastest chains for stablecoin transfers and payments. Visit Polygon Technology to learn more.
Kalshi is the world's largest prediction market. You can trade on anything in all 50 states. Go to kalshi.com to trade today.
Talk to AI like your lawyer or your doctor or your therapist. Yours, private, and here today. Visit near.ai to have a fully private chat experience.
Havachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to hibachi.xyz to start trading today.
Looking for yield that stands out? Infinify gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. Infinify is a battle-tested, reliable DeFi platform that is ready to go. Head to infinify.xyz.
Halliday is unified crypto payments. Give your users more wherever they are. Go to halliday.xyz to never write a smart contract again.
Open, stable, borderless. Frax is building the next generation of stablecoin infrastructure for the digital finance era. Visit frax.com to learn more today.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Trezor has just released its new wallet. Guys, if you are still using hot wallets in 2025, 2026, you are missing the entire point. Secure your coins. Get a Trezor at trezor.io.
Go anywhere on-chain instantly with relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to relay.link to bridge your assets now.
Money shouldn't wait for Mondays. Following its real upgrade, Polygon is now one of the fastest chains for stablecoin transfers and payments. Visit Polygon Technology to learn more.
Kalshi is the world's largest prediction market. You can trade on anything in all 50 states. Go to kalshi.com to trade today.
Talk to AI like your lawyer or your doctor or your therapist. Yours, private, and here today. Visit near.ai to have a fully private chat experience.
Havachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to hibachi.xyz to start trading today.
Looking for yield that stands out? Infinify gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. Infinify is a battle-tested, reliable DeFi platform that is ready to go. Head to infinify.xyz.
Halliday is unified crypto payments. Give your users more wherever they are. Go to halliday.xyz to never write a smart contract again.
Open, stable, borderless. Frax is building the next generation of stablecoin infrastructure for the digital finance era. Visit frax.com to learn more today.
Yeet is built for big moments. The most fun you'll ever have with your crypto. Go to yeet.com to yeet into your next game.
Not your keys, not your coins. From the team that pioneered cold storage, Treasure has just released its new flip-flop. I can't wait to get to New York. I'm gonna get a big ass bear spray.
Neo Finance, big ass
My
bear
flip-flop.
spray, flip flops back and forth. That's gonna be us dancing up there. Empire State Building. Ready? I'm Andy's bias. Oh, I'm bullish. Oh, wait, I'm bearish. Wait. I'm bullish again. Flip, flop, flip, flop, flip, flop, flip.
I'm about to flip-flop into the ocean.
Flippity flop, flip, flop. Guys, I'm a
The end is near, families. The end is near. Strap in.
Andy thinks that, once again, it's all going to zero. Look. The external market has no clue what's happening inside of our head.
The market, dude, the market is irrelevant. Major war in the Middle East. I can't even, oh my God, it's just tragic out here. We got Dino of Fluent coming on to talk reputation and more. I'm stoked on it. Looking forward to having our boy on. They just launched Fluent Connect today. So that was exciting for them.
What a coincidence that Trump orders $200 billion in mortgage bond buys to lower mortgage rates the same day that Fluent launches Fluent Connect.
It's absolutely insane.
That can't be a coincidence.
No.
That's got to be some sort of cabal hidden hand.
Fluent's got a big day. These guys are getting ready to launch. We've been early supporters and friends of this team for so long. Excited to see them find their niche,
Important
come up with
disclosure.
a specific product.
The Rollup did invest. We are angel investors in Fluent. I think that's important to mention. We are bag biased here. But frankly, even if we weren't bag biased, we'd be bold up on Fluent.
All I know is I got into Fluent's protocol today, and it called me maybe human. So either I've got a robot brain or something's gone wrong. We'll get Dino up and let's figure out what's going on here. Dino, welcome to the show, man.
Boys. Good to be here. How you guys doing?
I was doing well until your Claude-coded agent decided to tell me that I was a freaking half human. I don't know how. That's how 6:45 a.m. I wake up and I sign into Fluent Connect and I'm getting yelled at.
Andy just got finally exposed for just ChatGPTing everything.
It's so funny. So it's like, okay, so goated. Group chats are full of your posts. Your replies are full of slop. You made it.
You are goated. You are goated. In the sense of just reach and influence, man, the goat.
I appreciate it, man. Maybe human chances you're a bot are low, but never zero. I feel like that makes sense. It's interesting that you have. So okay, so we'll get into the nitty gritty here. Dino, catch us up, man. You guys have really kind of like pigeonholed into this reputation based kind of like identity reputation landscape. It kind of was a growth from your side following Kaido, InfoFi, right? We had talked about the importance not just of attention, but of social capital. Give us your Fluent Connect thesis and catch us up a bit before we get into some of the nitty gritty.
Yeah, totally. So the thesis is really based on our observations about where not only InfoFi, but the internet and especially CT went wrong, right? I mean, I think that over the past, there's a kind of a more underlying problem, like structurally with the internet. It's like ad model and attention-based models. But I think you saw over CT, and everyone who's listening to this pod can probably feel that we just went awry over the past couple of years. I think, and the way I would frame it is there was just this complete and dramatic over-indexing on attention and kind of the financial capital that went along with that attention, right? And so we saw this advent of InfoFi. I mean, some of the mechanics are interesting. It's like, wait, crypto gives you some cool tools to measure and codify things and put them on chain in ways that we didn't have before. So something interesting was tapped into there. But we started, just as crypto does, like catching on to some meta or trend and just obsessing and over indexing on it. And that's what, in my opinion, we did for attention, right? And so people just went fucking crazy. That obviously went hand in hand with like the AI boom, where the cost to create average content just collapsed to zero. The cost to, I mean, increasingly so, the cost to misrepresent like somebody else with a Sora video or whatever. Like AI is causing this like explosion and ability to create content, which could be used for good. But when you combine that with this complete over indexing on attention, you just get a bunch of slop, and CT has basically been ruined. I think I think people would attest to that. Unfortunately, I think this is part of a broader trend that's kind of CT is running the rest of the internet, as I think it does in a lot of scenarios. And like, it's just spreading. Like, this is the same thing that's happened to CT is going to happen to every other social media platform. And that's like the base case. Like, clearly AI, slop, scams, all the rugs that we see, like that stuff is just gonna like proliferate, right? And so we're like, okay, so we've gone way too crazy with attention. Um, what should people really be focusing on? And so we thought a lot about this, and what we really came to is this notion of reputation being the thing that matters, right? And so what fundamentally it just comes down to, like, who should I trust for what on in the like increasing amount of time that people will spend on the internet. It's like, who should I trust for what? That's where the joke that you made before, Andy, and was around like contextual reputation, right? So like what you've obviously maybe this is a good time to introduce Prince. So Prince is think of like your social footprint on the internet, right? And so it's basically an aggregator. We like put together a bunch of we feel is the best identity and reputation primitives, and reputation can span a bunch of different things. It could be kind of a universal reputation in terms of like how trustworthy somebody is or not. Could be kind of identity. Should I trust this person to be that this person is a human and who they say they are? Other types of contextual reputation. So is somebody a good trader or investor or holder or predictor or a community member or whatever? Like, so that's the idea. It's like, can we use some of these really cool reputation based primitives that are developing, kind of aggregate them together, be like a thoughtful curator around them, and make them accessible for builders to build on. And we just think that if you can successfully make reputation a new primitive for the internet, you can design much more interesting systems. So that's where Prince comes from. So Prince is this primitive. And then what we announced today is Fluent Connect, which actually is the first app built on Prince. And so Fluent Connect, it helps builders find real reputable users. So discover, distribute value to, message, connect with real reputable users. So as a builder, you're coming in there. Let's just say you're building a new DeFi protocol, just to make this concrete. You might come in a Fluent Connect and say, I want to find people who have a high probability of being human, maybe a low probability of being some scammer or asshole or something. Have been known to be like a good trader. Let's say I'm building a trading app or something, known to be a really good trader, and maybe early users of a couple of prominent DeFi protocols. Maybe they were early users of like Hyperliquid and Polymarket, whatever. So you're like, whoa, I want to talk to those people. And so you can do that through Fluent Connect, and then maybe as a kicker, you say, all right, you know what? There's a subset of this group who have been known to give really, really good product feedback. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give them an extra incentive, or maybe like include them into my like public sale, or give them special early access to my product to give feedback on, because that's clearly what they're good at, and I think they're a good fit for my app. So that's the idea. It's trying to help builders connect with real reputable users.
This feels like the digital identity in the sense of proof of humanhood, right? Which we've seen WorldCoin with the iris scan. We've seen Humanity Protocol with similar biometrics. These guys are proving that you're human, but you guys are taking it one step further. You're saying, okay, it's not enough to be human. You also need to understand the characteristics of this human. Are they a good product feedback? Are they a good beta tester? Do they, do they have high credit trustworthiness? And so I'd imagine that you could then share this and broadcast this data with protocols, on-chain and off-chain companies, because this is really valuable information that, whatever it is, the product that they're selling, there's customers out there with characteristics that they're looking to sell to. But the issue that I think our industry has ran into time and time again is this tension between privacy and identity, like privacy and reputation, in the sense that we have an inherently privacy preserving industry with, you know, cryptocurrencies, blockchains in general. Privacy is a functional human right. But on the other side of it, you have Web2 companies. Facebook has been farming our data for years. We're kind of against that, but we also really, really need good reputation in order to make valid decisions on chain. So as you were thinking through this thesis, how did you square this? Like, how did you overcome like all the negative things that with regard to, you know, data farming, but also implement the positives about what can come about when you have data on a broad swath of people?
Yeah. So we like to take a really pragmatic approach. So where we're starting is where the industry is at right now, and where the industry is at right now is you do have a lot of people who are frankly like just doing a lot of public things. I mean, a lot of these social media applications are based on things that people want to make public and social, right? And so there's just a lot of that like activity and data that's just already out there, and they're already, whether it's being captured or not, or whether people even realize it or not, they're already building some form of reputation. Maybe it's reputation like being a very influential person, even on crypto Twitter. Like it's out there, and so there's that element of it. And then there's the privacy preserving point is a really good one, and we'll actually have a lot more to say on that soon. But I don't think these things are mutually exclusive. Like I think that you can absolutely, if you can give people tools to prove identity and reputation and do so in like a cohesive way that gives uh, that proves like multiple different elements about them, like based on the context, you can kind of pick off each of those and make the ones that matter to that person privacy preserving, right? And so maybe I'm someone who doesn't really care and I about certain elements. Like I want people to know that like me as this like entity on the internet is really influential on Twitter. Like maybe I even want like whatever scores, whatever is attached to that. Maybe I'm like, send it, bro. But I don't want you to know my identity. But maybe I want you to know my anon, right? Like maybe I do want this like reputation to be attached to my identity. That's like provably like you can actually prove that I'm a human, but it's actually attached to this like anon identity, and then you could see a bunch of information compared to that, right? So I think there's something powerful about creating kind of reputation frameworks that it can actually not only help coordination between like humans and humans, but also humans and bots, and frankly bots and bots. There's a lot of humans I don't want to hear from, and bots that I might want to hear from. And I think as you get into this like agentic world, as bots are starting to like actually act on behalf of humans, it starts to become a little bit less about like, I mean, you want to know like who you're talking to or who you're dealing with, and like there's different I mean, it gets really nuanced, which I'll spare. Like it depends on the context completely. But I do think there's something really powerful about like that abstraction layer on top that kind of unifies just like fundamentally like who do I trust for what? And yeah, I definitely think that privacy can and certainly will be incorporated.
Yeah. So looking at the kind of the joke that I was telling you guys earlier about the robot thing, and pulled up my score here. So you guys made a choice to use Twitter. It looks like Echo, and then it looks like Ethos as part of like your reputation scoring system. How did you guys create this kind of reputation system? Why choose these platforms? Kind of just kind of give us the walkthrough of how you're thinking about actively creating a systematic approach to ensure, no sibling of this, actually scoring people accurately, right? Like
Mhm.
Ethos, Kaido, these other platforms. What is it that you're looking to achieve by combining these different sources of data, sources of I guess information that tell you something about some character or some person online?
Yeah, so like I said, we try to be really pragmatic, and frankly, it's just this is an MVP, and there's some good primitives out there that demonstrate and capture reputation across some different areas, right? So like you mentioned Kaido, you mentioned Ethos, like we're incorporating these, like we're not doing the scoring, we're not reinventing any of these wheels. I mean, we will happily like innovate where there needs to be innovation, but like just as a pure MVP product we wanted to do is kind of get people to taste like what this could be. So we did take these third-party primitives, we aggregated them together. There's actually one that's specific to Fluent, which is for Fluent feedback. So every time somebody gave feedback to a Fluent app that we featured on testnet, the app builders were the ones who were able to like assess that and determine whether the feedback was high quality and high signal. And so we incorporated that in. But besides this, for the MVP, we're just using some of the tools that are out there and kind of like wrapping them together to provide texture on a person. And I think the key part here, because anytime something, I think there's that adage or whatever, like when something becomes a metric, like it's no longer good. Like people try to game things all the time, and it's true. That's why I actually wrote a post on this the other day. But we think that the way to solve this is with just a series of checks and balances, right? Like what we're trying to do is we're not trying to score you. We're not trying to pick like the one score that works best from you. We're trying to say like, okay, like what are all these like reputation primitives out there? Let's be thoughtful curators around them and use them as checks and balances. So just as an example, you mentioned like WorldCoin. It's like, well, we don't, WorldCoin might be great. It might be imperfect. I think all of these will be like useful but imperfect. But that's okay, because like you can, somebody might be able to fool like one WorldCoin, but maybe not three, maybe not, WorldCoin number 2 and WorldCoin number 3. And if somebody's able to, and I think the main thing here is to help aggregate and synthesize across these different just signals on the internet, and then give users, based on the context that they're in or based on the app that they're in, more information to judge things off of, right? Let's just say I'm using some kind of new social media app that's built with some of these reputation primitives. Like I should be able to go in there, and let's just say the app is gives people options to to opt into different feeds based on people's like curator reputation or something like that. Okay, well, who's this curator? I want to go in there, or like what's curating this thing? I want to be able to go in there and be like, like there might not be a one right answer, but I might be able to look and say, all right, well, you know what? There's like 3 or 4 identity protocols that they're checking off the boxes for. That's pretty good. Like that's most likely this is a human, and you know what? They have proven knowledge and reputation across these topics that they're curating around, and so on and so forth. And and by the way, there are like a bunch of other people who are like able to like attest and kind of vouch for these being like uh, bias minimized like actors in this domain, because whatever, they've historically done a really really good job over the last 5 years. Like that's just the type of texture that we're talking about, right? So I don't think that there is like one right answer. I don't think there's like an
Yep.
absolute solve for this stuff, but I think the more we can kind of take all these amazing primitives that are being built in crypto and just use them as signals in a really really thoughtful way, in contextualize the application being used and to the person who's using them, I think that you can at least create really useful systems.
Yeah.
People
So
are willing to give their data too. And just one quick thing here is like I think the reason people were very mad at Facebook wasn't because that they were collecting all this data, it was because they weren't paying the right price for it. So I can imagine like so much more of a constructive social graph where you're still collecting all of these data points, the relationship status that these people in, their birthdays, all of these things, but like you're actually paying the fair price for that data, and there's some sort of marketplace where I can put up a bid if I'm a company and I want to try to amass a distribution channel to, pick your demographic, right? And I can say like, hey, if you fall within this demographic, you can verifiably prove with some sort of ZK proof that you are actually what you say you are. I will pay you 5 cents or $1 or $2. And there's customer acquisition costs, everything adds up. So I do think that people aren't quite reluctant to give up their data, even if it is crypto, and even if people here want privacy, they're willing to opt out of privacy at the right price.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's actually other types of compensation, if you will. Like, I mean, historically, people have not been compensated in any way, shape, or form. I think in this attention craze, where it shifted was people were thinking that um, what they were getting from their data and their like one narrow sense of reputation was just like attention and financial. So attention, like pay attention to me, and like financial capital, which is like give me some coins, and like we got crazy with that, right? But I think you can think of it as a shift from attention and financial capital to, I'll say, like reputation and social capital, right? So the reputation is just like, what am I known for? Like, what are people trusting me for? What am I really good at? And then social capital, which is like, how do I convert that reputation into opportunities, right? I think everybody's probably familiar with, over the past 6 months, people going from anons on the internet to winning CT leads at like big companies. Like, I think that, we all know a handful of them on Twitter. Often their announcement post gets like a lot of views, because it's like a really awesome story. Like, this permissionless world, you come in, you can literally be like just like an image on the internet, and then you could start building. I mean, and people don't even like necessarily think of it this way right now, but what's happening is like they're building this reputation on Twitter in this very narrow sense. And then there are people, whether it's Kalshi or whether it's Coinbase or whoever, that are like, damn, I need, like, that is one of the most reputable people. They have the most reach and influence in that specific area, and I'm going to hire them. So it's effectively like building a narrow, in that case, like a narrow form of like reputation, and then convert and using that to turn into like social capital, which then gets converted into a job. So like, I think that, and that's valuable too, right? That is a form of like compensating for your data that you're putting out there, and your social footprint that you're building.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the common enemy here is just this dead internet theory, right? It's just like this idea that we're gonna have all this agentic AI based profiles. I mean, we've seen the likes of men and women on Instagram starting OnlyFans based on purely fake profiles. We've
Mhm.
seen celebrities come to life based on pure fake profiles. I mean, you hang out with friends, and people are starting to realize that the content that they see on social platforms is AI, completely AI generated. And so like the common through line here is something that like Vitalik is very big on as well, is just like solving this identity problem. But like you're taking a step kind of like to the side almost, and being like, let's solve the reputation problem as well. And like those two kind of go hand in hand. Do you see this as now like Fluent's main direction and main material focus? Like, how does this launch change your perspective of Fluent's position? Is it a feature milestone, a network milestone, the shift going forward? Obviously, coming into a big quarter for Fluent. What does this mean for the roadmap and just kind of like where your head's at?
I mean, we're tripling down on it, like,
Okay.
completely. Like, we're tripling down on reputation as being a new primitive for the internet, and so a lot of our focus for ecosystem building, as it actually low-key has been over the past quarter, as well, just we haven't really, like, framed it and positioned it this way until recently, is, helping applications incorporate reputation of all different types, into their products. And so we actually have a few that we'll announce pretty soon, and we're working on that with a number of other builders, just kind of like scoping out how it could be used, like what type of reputation like makes the most sense. You could think about things like reputation based lending. Like, you could you can incorporate into different like buy now pay later type solutions. I mean, we're talking to a number of folks who are sitting at more like the creator economy, who are really interested in like fan reputation, and like that is really through the eyes of the beholder of what makes sense in like my particular scenario. Maybe I'm building a platform for like fighters to help connect with their fans, or whatever, sports stars to connect with their fans. And we're actually, there's a few things there which I can't exactly talk about yet, but we're going to help. We're going to work really closely with apps like this, and just like help them integrate reputation and identity into their products.
And
Beautiful.
it's not just kind of going back to what Andy's question was on. It's not, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's not just humans that have prints, right? There's also like even in the dead internet theory, the dead internet theory is that it's completely AI generated, everything is bot driven. But even the bots, like to your point earlier, there's some humans I don't want to listen to, and there's some bots that actually have some decent things to say. So even the bots are going to have some print online, and we're going to want to understand and separate good bots from bad bots in certain contexts.
Of course, you will. And not only about things to say, but look, think about the whole agentic economy that's forming. Like, bots are not just saying things, like they're starting to do things.
Yeah.
And like, if you're relying, like the more you rely on these things to do things, like, yeah, you need like the robust financial infrastructure, and that's what there's already been a lot of discussion about. Obviously, crypto and blockchain plays like a big role there, but you also need the right social infrastructure. And in a sense, this is like plugging into those systems. And I definitely think it will matter a ton. Which you could say bots, but just generally like automation systems where we automate things. Like, what is the reputation these things have? They build a reputation, whether people think about it that way or not.
Dino, what is the roadmap here for the next, 2 months? I know you guys are busy. What's the most important things that you guys want to knock down road to mainnet here?
Yeah, so we are moving quickly to mainnet. I think I mentioned last time I was on here in Q1. That's still the plan, and we're going to announce our second cohort of Blended Builder Club apps. The BBC is like our incubator like thing, and a lot of those will be focused on reputation-based apps. So we'll be super focused on that, and then driving development of Fluent Connect and prints, right? Like I said, like that there's a lot more that we want to do there, even on the user facing side, which we'll have a lot more to say soon. But yeah, the ecosystem, reputation based apps, and Fluent Connect, and of course mainnet.
Beautiful. All right, Dino, stay warm, man. I'll see you in New York very soon. I don't know if you're there or if you're in Miami, but either way, stay warm.
Oh, I thought you were bringing me to Hawaii, bro.
Yeah.
I thought this was an in-person.
Look around. Oh, man. Yeah, maybe next year, man.
All right. Well, I'll see you boys soon. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolute
Dino.
pleasure, Dino.
See you again soon, man.
Later.
All right, buddy. Man, that bot comment threw me for a whirl, Rob.
Yeah?
The bots, the good bots or bad bots.
I saw you laughing. I think it's a good point. I mean, Dino says, it's like, I do agree that there's some humans it's like, hey man, you're no better than a bot. And then there's some bots where it's like, hey, you got some things to say. I do recommend, if Dino's listening out there, that there are some marketplaces out there with data, right? And so I think like there's going to be some natural organic bootstrapping journey that they're going to have to go on in order to build and collect all of these social dynamics and contribute to these prints. But like, we've had our friends over at Zion, Burnt Banksy.
Burnt.
Haven't had him on in a while. And they're going on this a very similar direction, starting to not just collect data from people, like
I know what you mean though.
Pay people for data and then sell that data to like a flight, right? Because if you want, and it was all based on ZKTLS, right? Because Delta wants to vampire attack JetBlue, for example. Yep. So if you can verify through ZKTLS, you can log in to your JetBlue account. You can verifiably show that you have this many JetBlue miles. Delta will be willing to give you some sort of deal and say, 100%. Hey, if you come over, we'll pay you this much, or we'll give you this many miles. Yep. And so there is this robust network and marketplace of data that's already out there. I think Fluent's going to have to do a combination of paying people for that data or incentivizing them with tokens or something. And then also going out and doing the hard work of naturally, organically mining people for the data, helping them, having them connect, take these different actions online and on chain. But I like this because like I wasn't a big I don't even think I have a Facebook, maybe signed up for it, but it's a dead account. But social networks in general are farming our data and they're drawing all of these conclusions from our things, keystrokes and swipes and all these things. And they don't pay it. Like they serve us advertisements. It's worse than not paying.
I know. It's like, it is worse.
I mean, great. We don't have to pay for like social apps. Sure. That's cool. But
really, just know that like your data that you give to the social network allows them to make money, which pumps the Mag 7, which pumps your altcoins.
Oh, okay. In that case, shout out to the Lizard people for another great show.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap. See you guys tomorrow. Big show tomorrow. Got a awesome lineup of guests. Great show today.
Good Neo Finance episode today. I enjoyed our insurance.
It was Neo Finance.
Yeah.
It was very Neo Finance.
Very Neo Finance, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Peace.